Holy juice-filled lumps with knobs, y'all. We have a corntastic update for everybody in the Aventura area or looking to move to the Aventura area. And it's all thanks to the viewer, and I apologize if I butcher this name, Betsalel Touitou. So Betsalel, thank you for your request. And if you would like to make a request, or if you enjoy videos like this, drop a comment down below, smash the like button, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell, do a triple axel off the high dive while eating an ear of corn, and then share this video with somebody who might find it useful. I don't know, it's up to you. But we're looking at the active number of listings, we're looking at median sale prices, we're looking at new listings, closed price to original price ratio, everything that you need to know in order to make the most informed real estate decision in Aventura today. Jake Fletcher here with the Fletcher Group at eXp Realty right here in Miami, Florida. And let's go ahead and not waste any more time. Let's roll into the video like an ear of corn on a stick of butter. Okay guys, corn puns aside, let's take a look at this data. Want to show you guys something here. So we're gonna actually, I'm gonna move my little thing there. We're gonna be not looking at single family homes in this video specifically because although there are single family homes in Aventura, I'll just take this away, you can see that, there's not that many. I mean, back in 2019, the max that there was on the market was 50. And now there's less than 20 on the market. So it's just simply not a statistically significant enough, a statistically significant amount of single family homes on the market. The majority of the Aventura market is actually condos. And I'm going to show you guys that here. So what you can see there is the number of condos, right? So it's out of 10,000 listings, as you can see. And, it was up around, 1,700 back in 2009. And then, of course, COVID happened and crashed into the basement just like everything did. And, the minimum number of listings there was at 500, right around that, right around the March period of 2022. And then since then, just like in most markets, we've seen an increase in inventory as, interest rates have gone up, sales have slowed a bit. And although we haven't seen a huge increase in new listings, we have seen a slight increase in new listings. So when you couple that with less sales, that's going to increase the amount of total inventory or the active number of listings, also known as housing supply. So let's take a look at our first graph that we're going to be really talking about here. So I'll zoom that out back so you can see. Well, why don't I just put myself over here? So what we can see is the first graph here is active number of listings versus closed price to original price ratio. And this does include single family homes, but just keep in mind, this data is mostly influenced by condos. And when we say condos, we're also talking about townhomes, villas, co-ops, the whole kit and caboodle. All right. So, active number of listings in the green line, we see same thing, as we saw in the last two graphs there with the active number of listings. It went, down through the basement floor. And then we've seen right there since about March, April, it's gone up. And then on the blue line here, the closed price to original price ratio, we can see that there's been an inverse relationship, meaning opposite relationship. As inventory has gone down, we've seen that closed price to original price ratio has gone up. Closed price to original price ratio, again, for anybody who maybe doesn't know, just basically means if something, what's the percentage that something sold for versus what it was listed for. So if it was listed for 400,000 and it sold for 400,000, that's 100%. Closed price to original price ratio. If it was listed for 400 and sold for 300,000, that's a 75% original price to closed price ratio. Okay. So now that we're all on the same page, what we can see there is, boom, right about like May, the closed price to original price ratio hit about 100%. And since then, it's been coming down pretty drastically, okay? And this is actually a good sign for buyers because it means that deals have entered the chat, right? Things are getting back to where you can actually try to negotiate a little bit, Yes, there's not a ton of inventory on the market, it's a statistically significant increase in the number of active listings or housing supply, but look at how far down we've come, okay? So in order to get back into this range here where people were getting, I mean, look at that, 88% back in like May, June of 2020, back when, things were crazy, you actually could get a pretty good deal on things versus now, I mean, your best case scenario is about 95% close price, original price to close price ratio, which, I mean, hey, 5% off, I'll take it, right? Especially when you're talking about large sums of money, that's a big difference, okay? So it's good to know as if you're a buyer that, deals are back on the table, basically. So let's take a look at the next one here. Number of new listings versus active number of listings. Again, we're looking at those active number of listings, and I just wanted to compare this and show to you guys these two data points compared to one another. So same thing we've seen, active number of listings, that roller coaster drop, brabouge, downwards. But what we do see here is with our number of new listings, it's been, pretty stable, honestly, and honestly, if anything, it's kind of on a very slow downward trajectory since this 2019 mark where it was right around like 375, 400 number of new listings. Now we're at about 225 new listings. Okay, so yeah, I mean it's been a bit of a slow downward shift throughout time. This you can see here that was like the depths of the pandemic, so you kind of like ignore that a little bit. But you can even see over here, since these peaks over here, it's been a slow and steady decline. Right now, the one kind of good takeaway from that is that at least things have been somewhat stabilized or normalized in a sense. We're not seeing like a crazy downtick in terms of new listings. So that's good in terms of, there being options on the market and in terms of the market being like at least somewhat reasonable. Of course, that's a subjective thing, but in my opinion, new listings have been at least somewhat stable, especially compared to the number of active listings. So we know for a fact this is going to be, caused by increase in sales and also canceled listings or expired listings as well. We can't forget about that. Not every house sells, not every condo sells, right? So this is an interesting graph to me because it shows that as new inventory has been somewhat consistent, we've seen a big decrease in active number of listings as we've seen everywhere, which really echoes to the fact that what we've been talking about the whole time with supply and demand. Supply has just tanked. It's just gone through the floor because we've had an increase in sales when interest rates were really, really low, okay? Now, as interest rates have raised, we see active number of listings is going up because guess what sales are doing? They're going down, right? So let's take a look at the next graph here. And this one's kind of funky and interesting. So we're looking at months of inventory versus number of sales, okay? So months of inventory, all that means is if no new listings came on the market, how long would it take to sell the existing supply? How many months, okay? And what we're seeing is in that green line, months of inventory, we've seen that months of inventory has drastically decreased since 2019 and 2020. And in 2021, it kept decreasing. And then here in 2022, we're starting to see an increase in months of inventory. Why is that? Again, less sales are happening. So when less sales are happening and new listings are more or less stable, and I'll go back for you guys so you can see again, as far as our active number of listings, they're also going up, right? So compare the trajectory of this line versus the trajectory of this line, okay? Now, obviously, they're not, synonymous. It's not the same data point, but when you see total number of active listings or housing supply going up, and then also months of inventory going up, that tells us that sales are, either at parity or decreasing. In this case, they've been, slowly, decreasing. And what we see echoed in our number of sales here, right? And that's not as much of a slow decrease as we've seen in some other markets in Miami. This is a pretty drastic decrease here since interest rates have really gone up, you know? This was like the last little rush to try and get stuff before rates popped off like crazy. Rates popped off like crazy, and then people are like, hold on, you know, let's dial this back, let's hold off, let's wait for a second, see what happens, right? So sales gone down, months of inventory going up, right? It's really no surprise. We've seen the same thing in a lot of different markets around Miami. But what's interesting about this is that, you know, we see that number of sales, boom, it popped up like crazy right around the beginning of 2021, okay? And there was like these two huge peaks here and then a big decrease, all right? That big decrease right there was not something that we saw in a lot of other markets. So that's interesting to me. I mean, we did see a bit of a decrease in summer of 2021, and I've talked about that in other videos, but I mean, you're talking about over like 260, 270, number of listings, to compare, number of sales compared to 150, right? So, I mean, that's like, I don't know what, I can't do math. So that's like, like 40% or something like that. Big decrease in the number of sales. Check my math and let me know in the comments if I was wrong. But, you know, it's a big decrease nonetheless, whether my math is right or wrong. It's a big decrease in the number of sales there. And I just think that's interesting because we didn't see the same type of 40% drop off in other markets. Now, things maybe kind of leveled out and evened out here. Maybe we can imagine, you know, like sort of if this was like a logarithmic chart somehow, that this would be like a little bit more even keeled, a little bit more of a, less of a severe drop off. But I mean, this is what happened, you know, and it's kind of interesting to note that, in Aventura, the number of sales have been real inconsistent, you know, so something to take note of. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. So this is our last graph I want to show you guys here. So we're looking at median sale price versus days on market, okay? So median sale price, as we've talked about before, we use that rather than averages because average, if it's like there's like a $10 million, $20 million sale or something, that adjusts the average up, right? Versus median, it's of all the sales, it's the one directly in the middle. So it's a little bit better of a judge of what that sort of middle number is, right? Now we have days on market, of course. What that means is, and the C there just means cumulative days on market. It's like total days on market, median total days on market, right? So that's the blue line, median sale price, the green line. So what's interesting about this pairing is, as we've seen days on market decrease, we've seen a correlation there between the increase in median sale price, right? In other words, as things are selling quicker, we're seeing that, hey, boom, sales prices are going up, right? Which is a very expected thing when you're thinking about supply and demand, right? As demand increases, you're gonna see prices increase, right? AKA, as those days on market are decreasing, meaning homes are selling faster, presumably that's because demand is very high, right? Otherwise, why would they be selling so quickly? Versus the median sale price, right? So as we see that, as that demand is higher, we see the prices also going higher, right? Because supply is still pretty comparatively low to where we were. Remember the first third graph or whatever that I showed you where we saw that big decrease in the supply and how it's popped up a little bit, but not anywhere near what we were at in like 2019. So as supply has stayed low and demand has stayed high, we've seen that median sale prices are going up. Now, what's interesting is we've seen a pretty decent little decrease in that median sale price. It's gone from about 510 now to about 475, okay? And, maybe 465-ish. So that's pretty interesting because, that's a big difference, and every little bit counts when you're buying a home, a condo, whatever it is, when you're buying a place like that, a place to live, I mean, that's what? That's like 50 something thousand, $60,000, right? That's a big difference, especially in your monthly payments. So as interest rates have increased, looks to me like the market is kind of responding to that because the demand is also decreasing as interest rates increase. And we can see that here, right? Because this days on market is almost like a de facto measure of demand. And we've seen since July, boom, we see that little pop up there. We're starting to see that demand is reacting to high interest rates, okay, and high prices as well. So those prices, they have to come back down, right? Remember the rule of 10% in real estate. For every 1% that interest rates go up, sale prices tend to go down by 10%. And for every 1% that interest rates go down, sale prices tend to go up by 10%. Why is that? Because buyers are either losing or gaining purchase power, right? So it's something to keep in mind. As buyers are losing purchase power because interest rates are going up, well, guess what? Median sales prices are going to or sales prices are going to have to meet those buyers where they can actually afford to buy, okay? So what does this mean if you're a buyer in the Aventura market right now? Well, for me personally, I mean, right now, interest rates are over 6% again, or like, you know, the median interest rate. Let's see, what do we got? Let's see if they've updated today because it's 347. Yeah, here we go, September 2nd. All right, we got the 30-year fixed rate conventional mortgage is at 6.02. So it's actually gone down 0.21% since yesterday, but right around 6%, like I said, okay? So if you're buying a condo, you got, you know, your condo association fees, you're going to have insurance that, you know, walls in insurance. I mean, you know, you've got your principal, interest, taxes, etc. If you need to have a renovation budget, you know, that's a separate thing, but it could influence your budget, of course. And now on top of that, you've got higher interest rates, right? So if I'm buying a condo in Aventura right now, the first thing I might think is, you know, let's see if this trend line right here continues, right? Because that's a pretty, I mean, you know, I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as drastic, but that's a pretty significant decline there. I might be waiting a second to see what happens, you know, especially as we're coming into the winter months because there tends to be less sales in the holiday season, right? We didn't see that in the last couple years because they were an anomaly, but there's a rule of thumb in real estate that there's usually more sales in the summer, less sales in the holiday times or the winter, right? So, you know, that's what I would be doing if I was looking to buy right now. I'd be probably waiting a second to see if interest rates come down and also to see if those sale prices come back down, right? You know, inventory is going to be comparatively low to years past, so you know you're not going to be having like a plethora of options to choose from, so you might as well probably like wait a second to see what's going on, you know? If I'm a seller in Aventura, what I'm doing is I'm making sure I have a good agent because I need them to market the crap out of my property to make sure that, you know, of the limited supply that's out there, I want to shine. I want to be above the rest, right? I want everybody who sees my property to think, oh my gosh, of all the properties out there on the market, I need to go see this property, right? So you want to make sure that your agent is supplying you with very professional marketing and is doing everything under the sun to make sure that you get the most exposure and the best exposure because that's how you're going to really maximize your sale price in a downturning market, okay? This is not rocket science, you know, it's not brain surgery, but there's a huge difference between agents that pull out their iPhone 7 to take photos of your property versus agents like myself who pay thousands of dollars to make sure that there is proper marketing, you know, on the consumer facing side. So not only am I making sure if I'm a seller that I have a excellent agent, but I'm also going to make sure that I am very flexible with showing and accommodating the potential prospective buyers because even though buyers don't have as many many options, there really are only 3 reasons why properties don't sell. And I've talked about this in the past. One of the reasons is the price, and that's the most common. If it's overpriced, it's probably not gonna sell, right? Or you're gonna have to take a reduction in the actual sale price at the end of the day versus the list price, that original price to sale price ratio. The second reason is if the property does not show well, it's dirty, smells bad, etc., etc. The third reason is if it's not easy to show, okay? If you only can show a property on Tuesday morning from 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., the only people who can potentially buy your property are the people who are available during that little window. So that's something I always encourage sellers to keep in mind. You want to give as much possibilities for people to come in and look at your unit. Now, that doesn't mean that you 24/7, 365 people can come in. You still want to have a good agent who can coordinate and collaborate with the buyer's agents to make sure to schedule things in a way that makes sense, and you're not freaking jumping all over the place and jumping through hoops just to let people come in and check your place out. Now, there's so much more I could say about this. I mean, especially on the marketing side. So if you are somebody who's looking to sell a condo, house, townhome, whatever it is in Aventura, definitely reach out to me because I can help you out as far as giving you, you can set up a free consultation with me down below in the link in the description, and I'll give you, my 2 cents on what I would do if I was you. If you want to know how much your property's worth, et cetera, we can even meet up and have I can do a listing presentation for you and show you how I can help you out and get your place sold, quicker and for more money than anybody else, guaranteed. That's what I do. So if that's you, if you're a seller, definitely reach out to me. If you're a buyer as well, reach out to me. I can definitely represent you better than anybody else, take care of you like family. That's how I do it. So that's pretty much my thoughts on that. And if you guys have any questions, definitely let me know in the comments down below what you think. If you enjoyed this, please do me a little quick favor. Helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. If you smash the like button, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell, and share this video with anybody that you know who lives in Aventura, is thinking about moving to Aventura, or listens to the band Aventura. So yeah, that's it, guys. Jake Fletcher here with the Fletcher Group at eXp Realty, your Miami real estate agent. And if you have a community here that you would like me to do next, as far as a market update, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Make sure you have a corntastic day. Peace.